wait another minute.
Hi. There we go. Hi, Charles. Hi, Nancy.
Hi there.
Hi, we tried to get on tonight using the Zoom that was just sent out, the message, and it wouldn't work on our computer for some reason, so I used an old one to click in.
Okay. Whatever works. So we'll wait just another minute.
Okay.
We passed by the temple yesterday.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we went up to Colorado to Monument for a recital that was being given at the school of our granddaughters. So they
Oh, how
participated.
nice.
So we went up. And then we drove back today.
So you're back in, was it Albuquerque or Santa Fe?
New Mexico, Fort Sumner.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. Hi, Julie. Thank you for your message.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Very nice.
Hi, Sharon.
Lovely. Hi, everybody.
Oops.
All right. Well, let's gather ourselves together and welcome everyone and Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Shabbat Shalom, and I'm Rabbi Rob Lennick, and we have the most wonderful Temple Aaron family. And before we start, I'm going to make a disclaimer. If you decide after tonight I'm not at my best, it's because I have my COVID booster this morning. And I'm actually feeling okay, but I feel like a little cottony in my head. It's the only thing I can describe, but otherwise I feel fine. And I wasn't going to miss this for anything. So I'm glad we're all here together. And it's good to see everybody from near and far. And I think, we should spend the time at the beginning, if everyone could just introduce yourselves, tell us where you're from, and anything else you want to share with us tonight before Shabbat. And it just helps us feel a closer connection with each other. And that's really what Shabbat is all about. So anyway, I'm Rob Lennick. I'm married to Loretta Lamar. We live in Albuquerque. The greatest privilege of my life is to be the rabbi of Temple Aaron. And I also, my day job is the CEO of the Jewish Federation of New Mexico. And I'm just delighted to be here with all of you.
Who wants to go?
Who wants to go next?
All right, I'll go.
Um,
Oh, okay. I'm Sherry Glickman. I'm on the board of Temple Aaron. Thrilled, beyond thrilled that Rabbi is willing to do these with us and the Torah studies. Julie, since you're new, I'll just let you know. Are you not hearing us?
Well, when you move this way, which I guess is that way.
Can you hear?
Now,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. I was just saying, I'm super thrilled that Rabbi is willing to do these and the Torah study sessions. And I was just going to say, because Julie may not know, but we have one coming up January 8th. And you're welcome to come to those as well. They're really, really fascinating and enjoyable. So just let me know if you need information about that. But anyway, I'm from New Jersey too. So is he.
Hi, Neil.
And so we're on the board, we're up here in Littleton, Colorado.
Oh, and I'm Neil Paul. And we're both on the board, and it's just to be here, and we're delighted you're all here. And those of you that have not seen the temple, have been inside it yet. It's here. It's a really special place. So we invite you all to be there. Just let us know ahead of time.
Can't hear you.
We hear a voice in the background, but it's,
That's
Oh.
weird.
So it's-
Yeah, the microphone seems to be pointed in one direction, maybe.
Yeah,
Hmm.
no, it's a mic on the
I can't hear you.
Sharon and I are married. We're both on the board, and happy we're all here. Thank you. Could you hear that? Wow. We need to figure something out.
Okay. I don't know.
We can hear you, Sherry. Maybe shift the computer toward him a little, toward Neil.
I don't know.
Well, I'm done. Thanks.
Okay.
Don't give up.
Oh, what's going on?
Mhm.
Okay. Who's next?
Who'd like to go next?
Go ahead.
Oh, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Is
Yes.
that better? All right.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike. I'm coming to you via satellite from Lubbock, Texas. We have a local synagogue here. The name is Congregation Sharith Israel. I'm the treasurer and part of the board of directors. And I found Temple Aaron by accident one day while roaming around Trinidad, and have been just touched by it ever since. And I come to Trinidad 2 or 3 times a year, and I stop by and marvel at the temple a little. And I know it's a lovely place on the inside, and I hope to see it someday.
Wonderful.
Go ahead. Hit it.
We're the Zimmermans. We summer in Elgin, Illinois, and we're here in Fort Sumner from after Thanksgiving until early March. Enough time to get home and get ready for Passover. And we're celebrating our 54th anniversary today.
Oh, mazel tov.
Yay.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
It was good planning on my part because we drove back from Monument, Colorado today. I wasn't able to take her out to dinner, so I saved.
Oh. That's funny.
Yeah.
It's good to see you guys.
so we are Leona Rubin and John Rivers. And we love Temple Aaron. We were so impressed with the building and finally able to see the inside as well as the outside. And it's a lovely place. So we are happy to support you. And we love the service. And we are in Albuquerque and love the Zoom presentations. And we'll continue to see you on Zoom. It's a bit of a ways to go for in-person services, especially in the wintertime, getting over the pass, but maybe we'll see you in the spring.
We will have Passover there, so just to let you know. Go ahead.
So hi, I'm Julie Stone. I'll introduce myself, and Sherry and Neil interested in where from New Jersey you are. My husband is here with me, not on camera. We're in Morristown, northern New Jersey. And a friend put us in touch with a program that you had been doing, I think earlier on the Marano's Hidden Jews. And so I've just been on the list, and my husband is also chair of our synagogue history committee, does lots of photography, especially of synagogues. And I hope someday that we can come and visit. Before the pandemic, we were in Albuquerque and Santa Fe, and hopefully after the pandemic, we can make another trip out west and come and visit. So thank you for welcoming us to join this conversation tonight.
Oh, of course. Thanks for coming.
Welcome.
That's great.
Where are you from?
That's funny. Morristown is like South Jersey to some of us.
Well, no, she's in Morristown,
Yeah.
right? In northern Jersey. I was from Morristown in
Yeah.
southern New Jersey.
Okay, got it.
Mhm.
Who's next?
I'll go.
My name is Shelby and I live in Levita, Colorado, originally from Albuquerque, and but have been in Colorado since 1975, so a few years. Though we just moved here to Levita, and I was really excited to find the congregation and have a sense of Jewish community. So
We're glad you're here.
thank you.
Sharon, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Sharon,
Sharon, you're muted.
you're muted.
Okay, is that all right?
There you go.
Okay, hi, everyone. I'm Sharon Niederman. I'm in Raton, New Mexico, so kind of close to the people in La Vida. And I am from New Jersey also.
It's a thing.
And originally. And I've been spending time at Temple Aaron for quite a while, for I would say at least a dozen years. And it's very wonderful to see the transformation and see more and more people being interested in participating in the temple. It's great. So good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbos.
Kathy?
Okay. I'm Kathy Smith. I'm originally from Los Angeles, but I've been living the last 40 years in Grand Junction, Colorado. And I'm a member of Congregation Or Shalom, and I discovered Temple Aaron on Zoom last summer. Our congregation was not able to get together, and we're still having troubles getting back into our building, unfortunately, except I go every Friday to play mahjong. But we've been on Zoom, but I've really enjoyed having the opportunity to continue my studies and to have connections with other Jewish people online. So I've really enjoyed Zoom and Rabbi Lennox classes and our Shabbat get-togethers.
Thank you, Kathy.
Mhm.
Mordechai?
Well, good evening. I'm in Aurora, outside of Denver. And let's see, I've been putting off learning how to work these Fakakta computers because I thought it was a passing fancy and the internet was going to have the same life history as an 8-track tape. But it appears it's going to last a few years longer. So I'm going to learn how to use this thing.
Fakakta is a very good word, you know.
That's a wonderful
That's
word.
a very good word.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
So, you know, it's so important for us. I mean, no matter where we are, whatever our circumstances, one of the biggest problems in the world is so many people just being invisible. And the beauty of Temple Aaron is no matter where we are with each other. We're together. And when we have these Shabbat evenings together once a month, or we study Torah together, or we have the great opportunity to be in person up at the synagogue. And before you know it, we'll have a new heating system, a boiler, and we'll be able to gather there 4 seasons through the year, which will be wonderful. You know, the thing that it's really about is our connection. There's a word in Hebrew, kesher, which means a connection. And I know that's something we all feel, and we're just so glad that we're all here together. So tonight, we're going to light candles. I'm going to say Kiddush. I'm going to share a little shtickle of Torah, a story you may have never heard before that's connected to this week's Torah portion. And then I really If Charles and Nancy would permit us, we'd like to share an anniversary blessing for the two of you. I even quickly pulled out my rabbi's manual, boom, 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 just like that.
You have a
It's like the
manual.
rabbi has a prayer for everything at any time. Here it is right here. And I just grabbed it off the shelf. So, you know, we know you and love you so well. We could probably share blessings all from our hearts without a book. Because
That reminds me, Rabbi, when you said that there's a blessing for everything, and Tevye in Fiddler says, is there a blessing for the czar?
Well,
And keep the
I'm
czar
sure we could adapt, we could probably adapt one for the czar. You know, it's funny you mentioned that because there is this called Seder HaBrachot, Order of the Blessings. And the main one of those is the Birkat Hamazon, the blessing after meals. But there's blessings for seeing a rainbow, seeing a wise person, seeing an unseemly person. And there's blessings for even our adversaries. I don't know what category the czar would fit into, but I'm sure there's a bracha we could probably figure out even for the czar. So, but if that's okay, I think it'd be wonderful if we could share a bracha for your anniversary as well. And then, and we'll have time, we talk about Shabbat schmooze, and that's what we'll do. Just schmooze, ask questions, talk, and just enjoy being together at the end of a long week. And, you know, when Sherry says she hasn't slept, and who knows, anyone else with us right now, whatever we've experienced this week, the upside, the downside, the left side, the right side, on Shabbat, everything gets level. And that's a wonderful, wonderful blessing for us. So the first thing I'm going to bring up is the blessings. Whoops, wrong thing. Where'd it go? And that's definitely the wrong thing. Hold on. There we go. Here's the bracha for lighting the candles. And here are the candles. And if you have your candles at home, we can light them all together. And remember, we kind of cover our eyes, so we make believe the candles lit themselves. Because Shabbat has already started, so we shouldn't light the candles. So we cover our eyes and go, ah, that's beautiful. Look at that. They lit themselves. Say the bracha. Whoops, not yet. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher hitshanu mitzvotav vitzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot and commands us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. And Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
And now we come to the Kiddush. So if you have your Kiddush cup, you can hold it. Remember, the message of the Kiddush is based on the word kadosh, which is holiness, and a reminder that we make a mark in time between the mundane, the work of the week, and the special time of Shabbat, to count our blessings, to feel gratitude, to spend time connecting with the people we love that during the week when we're rushing around, we just don't have the time to focus on, and to refresh ourselves, our souls, and also to rest. It's actually, I always say, The great sign of Shabbat is to take a nap in the afternoon on Saturday. And however you choose to rest and refresh your life, the Kiddush is a reminder of the sacredness of this time and the sweetness that can flow out of it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadsho v'yahava u'ratzo inchilad zikaron v'aseh v'resh Kihu yom techila lemikra Zecher letziyah mitzrayim kivanu rachata v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim Kodscha B'Ahava U'Ratzo Inhalta Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh Shabbat. L'chaim, everybody.
Time.
So I have a story for you. And it's a story, believe it or not, that may surprise you. And I'm just going to put this up on the screen. You all know it well. The Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. And you all know it comes from Deuteronomy, the 5th book of the Torah, chapter 6. Deuteronomy 6, where we read this, where it's first stated, written in the Torah, and then what follows, the V'ahavta. You shall love the Lord your God. So here is the Shema. But now I'm going to tell you a story that is from the Midrash, the rabbinic commentaries on the Bible. And it's a story connected with this week's Torah portion. The Torah portion is called Vayechi. And in this week's Torah portion, Jacob is coming to the end of his life. And you will remember that Jacob's name was changed when he wrestled with God's messenger. His name was changed from Jacob to Israel because he was able to strive with God, and Jacob became a mature spiritual person. And so his name was changed to Yisrael. And that's the origin of the word Israel, is first used ever in the change of Jacob's name to Israel. And when the Bible talks about Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, it really means the descendants of Jacob. And we are all, in a sense, descendants of Jacob, Bnei Yisrael, and as the Torah would go on to say, Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel. The children of Israel, meaning the descendants of Israel, namely Jacob. And the Midrash tells this amazing story. When I first heard it, it made me cry because it was so powerful. It changed the Shema into something else, as you will now learn. Jacob calls his children together and he gives them blessings before he dies. And if you read the text closely, he sometimes gives the blessings for the future for some of his children, and others of his children, he's like, yeah, I'm not so sure about you. And then this week's Torah portion, he blesses Ephraim and Manasseh. Ephraim and Manasseh, we know very little about their lives. We know very little about why they were named those names. But what we do know is that throughout history, on Shabbat, parents would bless their children in the name of Ephraim and Manasseh. And people say, well, what was it about Ephraim and Manasseh that we would bless our children? And one very wise commentator says, we know nothing about Ephraim and Manasseh. And it's a remind parents that when you bless your children, you should not have prejudice when you bless them. You should not say, I bless you, my child, you should be a doctor. I bless you, my child, you should be a lawyer. I bless you, my child, you should fulfill my expectations for me. Which is a beautiful interpretation of why we bless in the name of Ephraim, about whom we know almost nothing of their childhood and of their character, so that each child is an individual. But then the Torah goes on and it says, and before his faith to his children, begins to speak right at that moment, and it tells the following story. It says that before Jacob, Israel, was about to die, lying on his deathbed, when he called all of his family together, he said, I am worried, I am frightened that when I die, you will forget about Adonai Eloheinu, the Lord our God. I fear that when I die, you will forget about this history of Abraham and Isaac, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. You will drop this chain of transmission, of tradition, of culture, of values. And it says, Israel, Jacob, spoke to his children, and please, he said, please don't let the chain, Lador Vador, from generation to generation, don't let the chain be broken. And then the Midrash speaks, and it will probably make you cry too, because well before the Shema was ever mentioned in Deuteronomy, the Midrash says that on Jacob, Israel's deathbed, his children said to him, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. The children said, hearken, our father Israel. The Lord will always be our God. The Lord will always be one. So that the Shema in the Midrash becomes much, much more than simply, as we usually think of it, as our declaration of faith. It actually is being taught to us through this beautiful story that the Shema is not simply a declaration, it is the carrying forward of a promise made by children to a dying parent that their values will never be lost. Think about it. What do we want our children to carry on? If we bequeath to our children, it's more than just money, it's more than just property. We write wills to convey to our offspring, to our descendants, to our posterity, we convey so much of material things, but this midrash is saying that's not what's important. We need to convey and have a promise from our children. They will carry on the heart of our values. And this is what Jacob, Israel's children, said to him before he died. They said the Shema, not as a declaration, but as a promise. To me, it's so beautiful because you say, why does Temple Aaron even need to exist? Why do we try so hard? Not only to rejuvenate and bring this historic sanctuary and place to life and maintain it. It's not about the building, as magnificent and filled with spirit that it is. We do it to convey and transmit the values that were at the heart of the founding of Temple Aaron and the values that continue to be at the heart of Jewish life everywhere. And it's really saying that as Jews, the declaration, if that's all we do is make a declaration, that's just like going through the motions. But if we make a promise to do something about it, to turn the Shema into something, then the future, hopefully, God willing, of our people will be preserved and guaranteed. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbos.
Shalom.
Any thoughts about that? Any reactions to that or questions?
It's beautiful.
It's such a beautiful story. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Literally, I learned it in rabbinical school and I cried when it was taught to me. It's like, oh my God, think of the level of thinking and associating and profound wisdom of our ancestors. They knew what they were talking about. And they deserve all the credit. I'm just a messenger, but they are the ones that created the message.
It's really interesting.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
So next time you're in synagogue, wherever you are, or next time you're in shul, when you say the Shema, and we cover our eyes, we get proper intention, kavanah, because it's like the Jewish declaration. Think of it as a promise from now on.
Mhm.
So Charles and Nan, I'm sorry, go ahead, Neil.
No.
Yes,
Thank you.
Charles and Nancy, it's your anniversary. You know about promises,
Oh, boy.
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Cheers. to-
Here's the guys.
Know about promises. And by the way, there's a reason the Kiddush, the prayer of sanctification, and the word for marriage have the same root, Kiddushin. Kiddushin is a marriage, and a Kiddush is a prayer of sanctification. And so it's a sacred relationship. And it's built on promises. So I should mention to you that in the Talmud, in the tractate Sota, on page 17a, in case you're interested, it says, Doresh Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Akiva taught, Ve'isha ve'ish zachu shechina beinehem. Ish ve'isha zachu shechina beinehem. If a husband and wife are together, the divine presence abides with them. And as you come to this moment of your anniversary, please allow us to share this prayer. O God, eternal source of blessing, we turn to you in gratitude for the strength and devotion that have preserved and sustained Charles and Nancy and permitted them to reach this tremendous moment of accomplishment and joy. How many years are you married?
54.
Talk about an accomplishment.
I'm surprised she's let me live this long.
And surrounded by your kahila, the spiritual community, take a moment and look back upon the years that have passed since you first made your original promises to each other. And think about the many varied experiences since that day, the occasions when you've been victorious, and the occasions when you may have felt defeat, the moments of fulfillment, and as life would have it, the moments of disappointment. And most of all, recall the joys that have graced your days and your years with light and beauty. And yes, probably like most of us, there were even storms that may have shaken you. But dear God, in joys and trials alike, you have been with them. And may you continue to be with them, and guide them and sustain them for many years to come. Charles and Nancy, may God bless you with health and contentment. And may the words of the priestly blessing abide with you for many anniversaries to come. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God's presence shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may God's presence be with you, palpable in the heart of your lives. And may God continue to bless you with shalom, with wholeness, completeness, and inner peace. And we all say together, Amen.
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 Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Mazel tov.
And here's to the next 54 years.
You can help us with that.
So now it's time to schmooze.
Hey,
Oh, wow. Well,
We did pass by the synagogue on our way. And I didn't see any work going on, but the building was standing.
that's a good sign.
Absolutely. We
Well,
came
just-
back through Walsenburg just to see what was there. It was an
Oh.
interesting little town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for those interested, as far as the work, we are in the midst of having a new boiler installed. But there is, like so many other things around the world, the supply chain has choked down one particular part. And so as a result, that's being delayed. So trying to stay in weekly contact with the installation company. But part of it is out of this control. So we're hoping, just as soon as possible, it'll be complete, but it's in process. And the biggest achievement is thank God that we've been able to raise the funds to be able to be at this point. So there's a lot more to go. We need a new roof too, but that's the next topic, next subject. Anyway.
I really want to say that Neil and Sherry are so much the heart and soul of our synagogue, honestly. I mean, a yin and a yang heart of the synagogue, but you should only know all the time they spend keeping this place forging ahead and growing. So this Shabbat, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And every Shabbat.
It's a team.
This makes it worth seeing everybody here.
Yep.
From across the country.
So Rabbi, I did hear a midrash about the Ephraim and Menashe, the two brothers. And the midrash said that they were the first, the reason we bless our children, our boys in that case, is they were the first two boys in the Torah that didn't try to kill each other.
Oh.
So we hope that our children start at least at that level and maybe even it's a midrash. It's a midrash.
That's great. Yeah.
I enjoyed the public radio story that you sent the link out to about your synagogue as well, the temple. It was really a fascinating coverage of all the work done and the people. And I just, from a distance admired it. And that's part of what prompted me to want to have Lou and I join tonight and just get to know you and tell you how much we enjoyed from a distance hearing about the restoration.
Wonderful. Story, the one that was just done like a few weeks ago. Is that the story you mean? The one from just a week or two ago? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you.
The recent one.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear more about, you said your husband works in history, but I didn't quite get what it is he does.
So our congregation is also an older congregation. It was formed in 1899.
Oh.
And so we just celebrated our 120th, now before the pandemic, we celebrated 120th anniversary. And while in my 30-second elevator pitch about why history is important, I say to our younger congregants, I said, you read in a history book that during the war that people got put together packages and sent it to the boys in the army. I said, yeah, we read that in the history book. I said, I can tell you who did it and in what room in this building.
Mm.
And so when you look at Tikkun Olam and what we can do as a community, as a Jewish community, both within our community and external to the broader town and broader America, we say to people, look at our history and you're the next chapter. And look at our history for inspiration. There was nothing here. And our founders built, was 50 families originally. They built a congregation that had a main sanctuary that sat 450 people.
Wow.
And that was determination and diligence and foresight. And they met in people's houses. Then they bought a little house on this piece of property, and then they built this beautiful building. And then they knocked down the house that was on the property, and we had this building, and the dedication was November 1929. And so all these people, many of whom pledged their own future, they obviously gave money, but they also pledged a future. Plus they had a big mortgage and everything else, and everything was going fine until October of 29. And so what I tell our younger congregants is, these people made it work. These people, this was inspirational for them, because for a lot of reasons, about being a part of America. I'll tell you one other thing. Just after the war, or just during the war, they decided that they wanted to do something patriotic. And we were in Morristown, New Jersey. Everybody's heard of Valley Forge, but the Continental Army spent not one, but 2 winters in Morristown. My joke is that the Valley Forge people have better PR people.
Right, but George Washington slept here for 2 years.
Right, George Washington slept here. So the congregation wanted to do something for America. And somebody knew somebody who was an antique dealer, and a dresser, chest of drawers that was owned by John Hancock came on the market. And the congregation raised the money, and as a congregation donated that chest of drawers to the First National Park, which is in Morristown, New Jersey. And it sits in our local, the building, the home that Washington used as his headquarters when he was here. And it's in that building. And we just celebrated, again, just before the pandemic, the 75th anniversary of the congregation, the Jewish congregation, reaching out to the broader congregation to demonstrate that they were proud Americans. Okay, I can go on. You get the idea.
You now understand, you do understand.
He's froze.
And they have 132 years,
Rabbi,
same location, and I'm sorry.
You're freezing.
you froze for a moment.
If you could just say that again.
Yeah.
Not froze, not froze. And so you deeply understand Temple Aaron, because we have 132 years in the same location. And, you know, we talked about the promise implicit in the Shema. It's that understanding that the founders of the synagogue you just described, the founders of Temple Aaron understood the promise make, not just a statement we say. Mordechai comment about one about the background of these two people. You know, they were Joseph's children, and they were born in Egypt. They were born as Egyptian children, had very, if any, exposure to Hebrew, or didn't exist yet, Hebrew culture. Raised as Egyptians, and yet Joseph still gave them Hebrew names, probably as a very countercultural decision, but presumably he was in such good stead with the Pharaoh for all he did. But the idea behind Ephraim and Manasseh is the same idea about the founders of Temple Aaron, the founders of the synagogue you described, you know, that you've been a part of, is that Judaism will, in some ways, depends on survival in the diaspora. It depends on having the strength to maintain our identity in Egypt, or in Trinidad, or in New Jersey, or wherever it is, that, you know, we name our children. And we hope by giving them those names, you know, they will carry on the tradition attached to those names. And it's so fascinating. Ephraim and Manasseh, 2 children born in the diaspora, in the Egyptian diaspora, name which we bless our children. I think it's all in the idea that to carry this on, it takes strength. It takes, and I think of, I've never existed like we described the founders of Temple Aaron and the synagogue you just shared the story about. But God bless you, you carry on that story just as well. Because it is really, it's
Bad connection.
Yeah, it takes a village, right?
That's really interesting. Julie, I don't know if we have your email address. Are you on our list? Like,
I
do
am
you
on
get
your
our-
mailing. Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I knew about tonight. So I am. But
Okay.
certainly you can reach out, or I can reach out separately. I'm going to add one postscript to the story about the synagogue opening just after the market crash in 1929, because one of the local merchants, who is the president, the bank wanted to call the paper, and he went to the banker and said, take the building. What are you going to do with it? And ultimately persuaded the bank to give them time to recover from the depression, all of the merchants, but the leadership of saying, like, calling them on it, like, really, we just opened the building and you're gonna, foreclose on it? And so that part of that lore, and my father came to this town in 1940 and he knew that person. He was here only 11 years after the building was built. So the family connections that I know some of you have, and what from reading the Temple Aaron notes are also part of what you're talking about, the children and passing it on and things like that. So thank you for letting us share with you. And I think that's probably part of why what I've read about Temple Aaron resonated with us, is that common history and commitment and building. So
That's really interesting. Yeah, and I didn't get your husband's name. What is your
his name is Louis.
Louis. Okay, thank you. Well, thank you for sharing all that.
One thing interesting with Temple Aaron that for those of you who don't live in the area is that over the years, the town, all the Jews, pretty much, as far as we know, had left the town. So, but the city and the townspeople were respectful enough to leave it alone. No one, even though it was always a synagogue, it always was maintained. In 2016 was the only year that they did not have high holiday services, because they basically ran out of money and they thought they were going to have to sell. It was for sale. So, but still, in a town that really, the people that were active, like in Raton, like Sharon is in Raton, and the Rubens were in Raton, which is, it's not far away. It's 18, 20 miles away, but it's the actual town of Trinidad basically had no Jews living there, and yet the building remained and was as active as they could do it, amongst community, other surrounding towns and supporting it. So it's, just for being out here in the West, it's kind of a really unique situation. I find it anyway.
So we're coming close to our time to wrap up for this evening. And whenever we share Friday night together, we like to offer the opportunity for people to say Kaddish, to remember people whose sites may be observed this week, or others that we may call to mind. So I'd like to invite anyone to share the names of people you are remembering for a yard site or for any reason this Shabbat, and then in honor of their memory and thanking God for the gift of their lives, we can say Kaddish together.
Lucky to raise my for health.
Ryan Baird.
Rhoda Freelich.
Jim Summers and Matt Stepien.
Lily Paul. Jay Davis. Somebody else here? Temple. Oh.
And we join together. Yikadal, v'yikadash, Shemei Rabbah, Yalma, Divrach, Emtei, Yamrich Malchutei, Hayachon, V'yomechon, Hayeh L'chol Beit Yisrael, Bagola, Uvisman Kariv, Yimru, Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah, Amen. Le'olam, Le'omei Olam. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitbar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei d'kudsha, shirichu. Leila min kol birchata, shirata, tushbachata, v'nechemata, ta'amiran b'alma, v'yimru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei Shlomo Rabba Im Shemaya L'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'yimeru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mroma Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'yimeru Amen.
Amen.
Zichronam Livracha, may all of their memories forever be a blessing. Amen.
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 And Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome. Look forward to seeing you in January for Torah study.
Yes, indeed.